During the Battle of Karansebes, the Austrian army attacked itself, causing 10,000 casualties. The human mind loves a puzzle, a paradox, a fact so strange it seems the universe must be playing a trick. We are about to embark on a journey through 10 such truths, each one a testament to the idea that history is not merely a record of the probable, but a gallery of the gloriously improbable. Our setting is not one time, but many, stitched together by the common thread of the unbelievable. So, let us begin. Our first fact feels like a clerical error in the grand ledger of time. In the year 1788, the military might of Austria was defeated not by cannon fire or cavalry charge, but by its own army. The Habsburg Empire, embroiled in a war with the Ottoman Turks, decided to mobilize its forces. In the confusion of languages and loyalties within the vast empire, an Austrian corps stumbled upon what they believed was a Turkish encampment. They launched a fierce and valiant assault under the cover of night, capturing many prisoners. At dawn's light, the grim truth was revealed. They had brilliantly sacked their own camp. The casualties from this friendly fire were so severe that the entire regiment was disbanded in disgrace, a victory handed to the Ottomans by Austrian hands alone. This incident reminds us that chaos is a constant companion to war, but sometimes chaos wears a very specific and absurd costume. Consider the brief but spectacular conflict between Britain and the Dutch-controlled Isles of Scilly. For 335 years, from 1651 to 1986, these two nations remained technically at war. The origins lay in the English Civil War, where royalist privateers used the islands as a base. The Dutch Navy, suffering losses, declared war specifically on the Isles of Scilly. When the royalists surrendered soon after, the Dutch simply forgot to declare peace. It was not until a visiting historian discovered the oversight in the 1980s that a peace treaty was finally, and jovially, signed, ending history's most absent-minded war. While nations bickered, nature occasionally intervened with a force that defies belief. In the winter of 1857, the city of Budapest was gifted a spectacle of frozen time. The Danube, that great artery of Europe, froze so completely and so solidly that the citizens did not merely skate upon it. They built an entire temporary village on the ice, with shops, taverns, and even a printing press issuing daily newspapers about life on the river. They roasted oxen on great spits and held grand balls, their music floating over the crystalline expanse. Then, with the spring thaw, the entire miniature civilization vanished without a trace, as if it had been a collective dream dreamed by the city itself. Human ambition, however, has always sought to outdo even nature's wonders. In the late 19th century, as empires raced to carve up Africa, a peculiar drama unfolded between two European powers. France and the Netherlands found themselves in a tense standoff over a remote, guano-rich island in the Atlantic. The solution was not a battle, but a timer. They agreed to place their warships offshore and, at a signal, raced to claim the island. The French cheated, sending a sailor who sprinted across the barren rock just moments ahead of his Dutch rival. For this tiny, worthless speck of land, the nations had nearly gone to war, only to settle it with a foot race, a fact that seems pulled from a satirical novel. Sometimes, the unbelievable is found not in conflict, but in quiet dedication. In the heart of London, for over a century, a single family guarded a secret that was no secret at all. Since 1660, every night without fail, the keys to the Tower of London have been ceremonially escorted to the monarch's representative. This ceremony of the keys has been performed through blitzes, plagues, and storms. But the most astonishing guardian was a yeoman warder named John, who, in the 1920s, performed the duty for 26 years without a single night off. A marathon of ritual that stands as a monument to mundane, magnificent reliability. Reliability, however, is not always a virtue, especially in the face of overwhelming evidence. Our next fact takes us to the realm of science, where stubbornness can have a peculiar lifespan. When the asteroid Ceres was discovered in 1801, the great astronomer William Herschel declared it unworthy of the title, planet, coining the term asteroid. One of his most vocal opponents was a fellow astronomer named Franz Xaver von Zach, who insisted Ceres was a true planet. Von Zach was so certain of his correctness that he instructed his family to continue the argument after his death. For over 150 years, his descendants annually published a pamphlet defending his position, a ghostly scientific debate maintained by familial loyalty long after the rest of the world had moved on. Loyalty of a different, fiercer kind brings us to the shores of Japan in the 13th century. The Mongol Empire, having conquered China and Korea, set its sights on the island nation. In 1274, and again in 1281, Kublai Khan sent colossal armadas, the largest the world had ever seen. Japan seemed doomed. Then, a miracle, or rather, a pair of them. On both occasions, as the Mongol fleets lay at anchor, legendary typhoons, what the Japanese would call kamikaze, or divine winds, swept in and utterly annihilated the invasion forces. Tens of thousands of ships and men were swallowed by the sea, saving Japan from conquest by a meteorological coincidence so perfect it shaped a national identity. Not all improbable survivals are so dramatic. Sometimes they are personal, intimate, and hinge on a single, bizarre choice. During the height of the Cold War, in 1962, Soviet submariner Vasily Arkhipov found himself in the belly of a nuclear-armed submarine near Cuba. American depth charges were exploding. The crew was panicked, and the captain, believing war had already begun, ordered the launch of a nuclear torpedo. The launch required the agreement of all 3 senior officers. 2 voted yes. Arkhipov alone voted no. He calmed the captain, persuaded him to surface, and averted a nuclear exchange. One man's level head, in a submerged metal tube, likely prevented World War III. Our penultimate fact is a whisper from the ancient world that echoes with modern irony. In the Roman Republic, a man's wealth and status were not just displayed in villas or jewels, but in a condiment. Garum, a fermented fish sauce, was the ultimate luxury good. The most prized garum was made from the guts of mackerel, fermented in the sun for months. A single small amphora could cost the equivalent of a soldier's annual salary. The richest Romans drizzled this pungent, salty liquid on everything, their palates craving what we would essentially recognize as the base for Worcestershire sauce, a humble bottle now found in every pantry. Finally, we end with a fact that ties our journey together with a ribbon of sheer chance. On a summer day in 1918, during the chaos of World War I, a Canadian soldier named Henry Tandy was said to have had a young, wounded German corporal in his rifle sights near the French village of Marcoing. He lowered his weapon, sparing the man's life. That German soldier was Adolf Hitler. Whether the story is precisely true is debated by historians, but it was believed by both men. The idea that the century's greatest horror might have been averted by a single moment of battlefield mercy is perhaps the most haunting, unbelievable fact of all. A stark reminder that history turns on the smallest of hinges. These 10 threads of friendly fire, forgotten wars, frozen rivers, absurd races, timeless duty, ghostly arguments, divine winds, one man's refusal, fish sauce fortunes, and a moment of mercy are not mere curiosities. They are the warp and weft of our past, proving that truth is not only stranger than fiction, but often more compelling, more tragic, and more wonderfully absurd. They remind us that within the grand narrative of human history, the details are where the real magic and the real lessons are so often found. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe for more stories each week.